I am making an update to my Ashen deck profile. They've had one or two support cards, and I figured it's been a while since I last made the Ashen deck, so I figured might as well make an update. Also, I've done some testing with this deck, and pretty sure that one of the monsters has just makes Yummy really hard to play under it. Which is part of the reason why I'm actually considering playing it this format. What's wrong with the monsters? I play 3 copies of Priestess of the Ashen City. Let's see if I can't. Priestess of the Ashen City has the effect that, like all the other Ashen monsters that have Ashened in the name, they can be special summoned as long as they can be special summoned from your hand as long as Obsidian is on the field. And one card I actually did think about playing in this deck because of that effect is 3 copies of the Quiet Life spell card, which is a continuous spell that can only be activated at the start of your main phase 1. But while it's a continuous spell, while it's on the field, if you normal summon, you can't special summon, and vice versa, and that affects both players. But Priestess has the effect that when summoned, then you can add, what was it? There's an Ashened card, I believe. Yeah. When it's normal or special summoned, you just add an Ashened card. I couldn't remember if it was an Ashened monster or an Ashened card. But you can add one other than another copy of Priestess. Next, I play 1 copy of Shaman of the Ashen City. Shaman has the effect that you can target 3 of your Pyro monsters that are banished or in your graveyard, shuffle them to the deck, then if you shuffle an Ashen monster, then you can add an Obsidian from your deck to your hand. And you can only use that effect once per turn. Then I play 2 copies of Spearhead of the Ashen City. Spearhead has the effect that if your opponent controls a monster at 2800 or more attack, you contribute this card, then target 1 card your opponent controls, return to the hand. And you can only use each attack like a Spearhead once per turn. Honestly, I would have liked this card a bit better if it was a quick effect to tribute it to return a thing, but anyway. Then lastly, I play 1 copy of Hero and 1 copy of King of the Ashen City. King of the Ashen City has the effect that during your main phase, you can special summon an Ashen monster from your hand, except for another king, or your opponent controls a monster with 2800 or more attack, you can special summon it from your deck instead. And you can only use each effect of King once per turn. And then Hero of the Ashen City. Also, I realized, see the glare on King. That's King. And then Hero of the Ashen City. This has the effect that during the main phase, it's a quick effect. You can target a Pyro monster that's on your field, destroy it. Or a Pyro monster on the field, my bad. Then if you destroyed Vados the Eruption Dragon of Extinction, I apologize for my mouth could just not comprehend Vados' full name. But if you destroy Vados, then you can place an Obsidian from your deck face up in your field zone. You can use that effect of Hero once per turn. Speaking of Vados, I then play 3 copies of Vados the Eruption Dragon of Extinction. Vados has the effect that during the main phase, if this card is in your hand, it has a quick effect. Target 1 card in a field zone. Special summon this card to your opponent's side of the field, and then destroy that target. And then, I forget the rest of it. Then you can add to your hand or set an Ashen Continuous Trap from your deck. I don't know why I kept wanting to say Spell or Trap. I apologize. This card is sent from the opponent's field to your graveyard. You can destroy all monsters on the field. And you can only use each effect of Vados once per turn. So that's the main thing I like about this card is that if your opponent has a field spell that they rely on, which I honestly thought about trying to play this in Ryzeal because, well, their field spell is extremely important to them. But the main thing I like about this is just if you give it to your opponent and then if you get rid of it, like say with Hero's effect, then it just dark holes the board. And then for the new boss monster of the deck, there's 3 copies of Queen of the Blazing Domain. This card is not technically an Ashen monster, but it's a Dark Pyro, and it fits the theme of the deck. Do this just so it's better. Queen of the Blazing Domain has the effect where it can't be destroyed by card effects. This card's in your hand. You can target up to 2 cards you control, including a face-up spell or trap. Destroy them, and if you do special this card, you only ever want to summon it by destroying 2, because if you only destroy 1 card, then it returns to your hand during the end phase. But if you destroy 2, then it gains the effect that any monster sent from your opponent's field to the graveyard is banished instead. Which, anything that has a Macrocosmos effect does seem to be good at some point in time. May not be immediately when it's released, but I personally think this is good against Yummy. Pairing it with stuff like Cosmic Cyclone or even... mainly Cosmic Cyclone, just cards that banish spell or traps your opponent controls. Because I feel like this, plus keep getting rid of your opponent's field spells before they can use their grave effects, is actually pretty good against Yummy. And then to finish off the monsters, play 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This is literally just here to negate Mulch Armies, and that's about it. For your spells, I play 1 copy of Rekindling of the Ashened. Rekindling lets you place an Ashen card that's banished or in your graveyard at the bottom of your deck to then target 1 card your monster your opponent controls and negates effects till the end of the turn. I really want to play this as a 3 of, but it is a hard once per turn effect, and I'm trying it at 1. I really want to try 2 though. Next, I play 1 copy of Terraforming. This card's only purpose is to add Obsidian from your deck to your hand. Yeah, that works a bit better. And then I play 1 copy of Bonfire, since everything in this deck is Pyro, and all the good, all the decent monsters in this deck are level 4 or lower. However, the higher level ones are a lot better. I can't defend them. Anyway, next I play 3 copies of Chaotic Elements. This card was meant to support Tistina and Ashen, but it can also support anything that is Pyro or Aqua, and Light or Dark. It's like Dark Aqua, Light Pyro, and Dark Pyro. I'm pretty sure Crystron's starting to use this too. Anyway, when it's active, you can add a level 5 or higher Light or Dark, Pyro, or Aqua monster from your deck to your hand. And then if you have 3 or more Pyro and or Aqua monsters in your graveyard, you destroy 1 card on the field. And if your opponent controls a monster that's Light or Dark, Pyro, or Aqua, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 monster your opponent controls, take control of it till the end phase. So what this is meant to do is add Vados to your hand, and then you can use Vados destroying an Obsidian you give your opponent to summon it to their field. Then you can banish this from your graveyard to take back to the Vados. That's pretty much how it's supposed to work. I'm pretty sure it was... Yeah, you can only use each effect and not one or the other. That's going to be the big thing. Next, I play 3 copies of Extinguishing the Ashened. Extinguishing the Ashen lets you send a Dark Pyro from your deck to graveyard, and then you can add a level 5 or higher Pyro from your graveyard to your hand. However, this does lock you into Pyros for the rest of the turn, so make sure that the rest of your summonings are going to be Pyro after you use this. And then it also has the grave effect that you can banish it to fusion summon a Pyro fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material. And you can only use each effect of Extinguishing the Ashen once per turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Inferno of the Ashened. Inferno of the Ashened, which I still think looks like a branded card. I really want to try branded Ashened because I'm still convinced that Ashened is supposed to be a part of the branded storyline. I know it's not, but I feel like it's supposed to. When this card is activated, you place an Obsidian, the Ashen City from your deck, face up in either field zone, and then you can target... Or no, that's just when it's activated. And then once per turn, you can target 1 face-up card your opponent controls, and a level 8 or higher Dark Pyro monster in your graveyard. Send the target on field to grave to add the target in grave back to your hand. Wait. Sorry, your graveyard, send the card on field to grave. My bad. You do not add it to your hand, you summon the one from the graveyard. The only downside is it does have to be summoned to your opponent's field in defense mode. So it's meant to just give your opponent Vados again. And then you can only activate 1 Inferno of the Ashen once per turn. You can only use each of its effects once per turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Obsidian, the Ashened City. Obsidian has the effect that face-up special summon monsters your opponent controls become pyro during your turn only. You can only use each of the effects of Obsidian, the Ashen City. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. Where during the end phase, you can target an Obsidian that's in your graveyard, place it on the bottom of your deck, then draw a card. And then if this card is sent from the field zone is... Bleh. If this card in the field zone is destroyed or banished, then you can special summon an Ashen monster from your deck. That's it. I don't know why that was so hard for me to get through, but yeah, pretty much your gaining goal is to go through 3 of these per turn, and then during your end phase, this will just put it at the bottom of the deck and let you draw a card. Next, I play 3 copies of Awakening of Vados. This lets you place an Obsidian from your deck face up in either field zone. Then your opponent controls a card in their field zone. You can add a level 5 or higher Dark Pyro monster from your deck to your hand. So this will let you be able to search for Queen of the Blazing Domain or Vados. Which is probably why Vados is in its name. Anyway, the rest of its effect is... However, after it resolves, you cannot special summon from the deck or extra deck except for Pyro, which the deck won't be an issue since everything is Pyro, with the exception to Ash. And then the extra deck, at least the way I have it built, is already most of the stuff you summon is Pyro anyway, so it should be fine. And then I also play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. This is just really good at being able to break boards if you're, for your opponent's turn. Such as if you can activate an Obsidian on your field while your opponent has Vados. Because then all their monsters become Pyro, which then lets you use this, fusing all of your opponent's, level 5 or higher Pyros? Level 9 or lower Pyro monsters. Just make a really big Vados Dragon of Endless Darkness. But Super Poly just lets you discard a card, fusion summon a monster using monsters from either side of the field, and neither player can activate cards in response to this card's activation. For the traps, I play 1 copy of Ashen for Eternity. Ashen for Eternity has the effect that when it's activated, you can add Vados to your Eruption Dragon Extinction or an Ashen monster from your graveyard to your hand. And then you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls that you own, take control of that monster, then you can make all face-up monsters your opponent controls lose attack equal to the targeted monster's original attack. So give your opponent Vados, then you can use this to return an Ashen monster from graveyard to your hand. Take the Vados, and then weaken all your opponent's monsters by 2,800. And then I'm trying to make sure that there's everything else. And then the attack lasts until the end of the turn. You only use You can only use that effect to Ashen for Eternity once per turn. Next, I play 1 copy of Ashen to Endlessness. Ashen to Endlessness has the effect that during the main phase, you can fusion summon a Dark Pyro fusion monster. Dark Pyro. Fusion summon a Pyro fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from either field's material, including Vados the Eruption Dragon of Extinction. And if you do, it gains 500 for each material used. You can banish this card from your graveyard, you can banish this card and 1 Dark Pyro monster from your graveyard. All monsters your opponent currently controls become Pyro until the end of this turn. You can only use each effect of Ashen to Endlessness once per turn. So I just like it because it's also a searchable Super Poly target. It's searchable Super Poly card, not target. Anyway, to finish off the traps, I play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. This card just lets you target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, negates effects till the end of the turn. If this card was set on the field when it was activated, it negates all spells and traps in its column for the turn. And then lastly, you can activate from your hand if you control no cards. And that is it for the Ashened main deck. Moving on to the Ashened side deck. Extra deck. For the extra deck, I play 2 copies of Infernal Flame Banshee. I'm actually really excited that Flame Banshee didn't get touched on the ban list, because a really good card for Ashened. Because in this deck, this will let you be able to search Vados or Queen of the Blazing Domain much easier. It's just a generic rank 4 that lets you detach material to take a Pyro monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. And this card is banished, and you control a Pyro monster. You can special summon this card. And if you do, it gains attack equal to the number of your currently banished monsters times 100 till the end of this turn. You'll use each effective Inferno Flame Banshee once per turn. Real quick. There we go. Next, I play 3 copies of Embers of the Ashened. Embers of the Ashen has the effect that when this card is fusion summoned, you can add an Obsidian from your graveyard to your hand. And then if it battles a Pyro monster, you can just destroy it outright. And then if it was your turn when that effect was used, you can declare a second attack. Which the main thing you're supposed to do with it is just have it attack Vados, destroy the Vados immediately. Vados then destroys... Oh no, not Vados. You're supposed to use it with Obsidian. Obsidian makes all your opponent's monsters Pyro during your turn. So it's going to take out potentially 2 of your opponent's monsters. That's essentially all it's for. You can only use each effective Embers of the Ashen once per turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Vados, the Dragon of Endless Darkness. Vados, the Dragon of Endless Darkness. Keep thinking I have this centered, and I don't. So my apologies for that. There we go. Has the effect that it can't be destroyed by card effects. Also, your opponent cannot target it with monster effects. This card's fusion summoned. You can destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. When your opponent activates a card or effect on the field, then you can, as a quick effect, send a face-up Ashen card you control to the graveyard to destroy that card. I really wish that was just a negation card, but I suppose destroying is better than nothing, but... Bleh. And then the remaining cards in my extra deck are all Super Poly targets, which is 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp. This lets you fuse 2 monsters on the field with the same attribute but different types. 1 copy of Garura, Wings of Resonant Life. This acquiring 2 monsters on the field with the same type and attribute but different names. 1 copy of Necroquake Princess. This is just in here for Fiendsmith. Just let them do whatever they want till they get to a Link monster. Not Link monster. Till they get to a monster equipped with a Link monster. And then a fusion monster on the field, then you just Super Poly summon this. Wait. C must be special summon from the Archetype. Never mind. I just now realize that this card can't be summoned off of Super Polymerization because it's a contact fusion monster. So, replace this with any kind of Super Poly target you would like. I'm probably going to replace it with Predaplant Triphiovertum, just acquiring 3 dark monsters. Then I play 1 copy of Cyberus Desave Worm. Desave Worm is just in here for Malice, requiring a Cyberus Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster, plus a Cyberus. So when they go to swing for game, I just go, okay, great, Super Poly. Fuse off their really big Heart's Cryptor and another Link monster, or Cyberus monster, summon this. Then I play 1 copy of Predaplant Dracostapelia. This is in here mostly for Dracotail, requiring a fusion monster and a dark monster. And then also for Branded, I have a copy of Starving Venom Predapower Fusion Dragon. This just requires a dark fusion monster plus a fusion monster. And then lastly, I play what I consider an original Super Poly target, which is Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, just requiring 2 dark monsters on the field. Honestly, these 3 are probably more for Brandon, but I like saying that this one is somewhat Dracotail, just requiring a fusion plus a dark monster, but anyway. So the main thing I'll change is I'll replace this with Triphiovertum, just acquiring 3 dark monsters on the field, just because I did not realize this is a contact fusion. Another thing I might replace it for is a copy of, I think it was Master Ham. It's a fusion hamster thing, just acquiring 2 beast monsters. Just use that as a Super Poly target for Yummy. But anyway, that is it for the deck profile. If you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, any ideas for decks like to be made in the future, or decks like see face each other, feel free to comment down below. And thank you for watching.